Let's get pumped. Let's do it. Fix his hair a little bit. What is up, Mountain Fam? No. Never, ever, ever, ever say that again. I'll kill us both. A couple months ago, I put out a video asserting that the 300 was a great beginner's bike. We could argue the merits of that statement 1,000 different ways. There isn't a right answer for everybody, different strokes for different folks, right? Regardless, within that video, I caveated the whole thing with something that I think is still very important for a beginner rider. Buy a bike that is designed to do what you want to do with it. If you want to ride woods, buy a woods bike. If you want to ride motocross, because all your friends ride motocross, buy a motocross bike. But if you're a woods rider, do not fall into the trap of buying a motocross bike, because oftentimes you're going to find them cheaper. At this point in the game, as we're building a YZ250 woods bike, the irony is getting thick, thick, thick. Now, am I a hypocrite? No, man, no. I didn't say you can't. I said you shouldn't as a beginner. Here's why. As a beginner, you're just learning how to ride a dirt bike and not kill yourself. Understandable, right? You're not realizing that that hard suspension, that tall gearing is making it a lot more difficult for you to progress from beginner to intermediate. And that magic area from beginner to intermediate is the sweet spot where you need to make sure that you have the right bike. Otherwise, it's going to slow that progression down to a halt. And you don't want that. That first bike is super important. Not saying you can't make everything work. You absolutely can. But stock out of the box, that motocross bike is hard to ride in the woods for a beginner rider. Now, there's some key things I think that are very important if you're going to convert a motocross to a woods bike. We're going to go over this list of things that I want to do with this YZ250 build that will pull some of those out of the ether. Some of them are super important. You're going to get a lot of bang for your buck. Other ones are just nice to haves. And it's not always, you don't always know, right, as a newer rider, what you need. Go over the list, hash it out. If you disagree, man, leave a comment below. If you think I'm forgetting something important, leave a comment below. I want to know what you think. Let's go over this list. These are the things I want to do on my YZ250 woods build. Some of these are going to make it a better woods bike. Some of these are just because the bike's 17 years old and we don't know the maintenance history. Let's go through the things I think that we can add to make this thing a better woods bike. First off, suspension. Most people will admit that that suspension revalve from a motocross bike to a woods bike is the best thing, the first thing that you should do. In my estimation, I think this is the most important upgrade you can do in converting that motocross bike to a woods bike. Flywheel weight. Most of the people that have converted a YZ250 to a woods bike have added a flywheel weight. It's going to make the bike lug a little bit better. It's going to make it track a little bit better. It's going to make it just more tame. It's not going to rob you of power like you think, but it will tame the bike. It'll make it just track better. It'll make it easier to ride. Is it necessary? No. None of these absolutely are. But this is necessary. This is kind of necessary. 18-inch rear wheel. Is it necessary? No, but you get more sidewall. It's a softer ride. You got less chances of having a pinch flat if you're running your tires aired down. And more importantly, you have a better tire selection with an 18-inch rear rim. With an 18-inch rear rim. That's a really hard thing to say. It'll make the ride more cushy too. Nothing wrong with that. Armor. 3 different kinds of armor we're worried about here. Number 1, radiator guards. Once you've straightened out your radiators for the second or third time, you're probably going to want to have radiator guards. You're going to drop your bike. If you're doing technical single track, hard stuff, you're going to drop your bike and it's always going to land on a rock. Radiators hate rocks. Rocks hate radiators. It's this symbiotic relationship that's going to cause you a lot of grief. Secondly, hand guards. Hand guards are going to protect your hands. They're also going to protect your levers. There's 2 different kinds. There's wraparounds and there's flag style. Either kind will work. I prefer wraparounds. They offer you a little more protection. Some people argue that you get your arm caught in there and rip it off, but I've never seen that happen, but I suppose it could. Get something to protect your hands, get something to protect your levers. Skid plate. As you progress, you're going to start jumping over logs, you're going to be grinding the bottom of your bike on rocks and stuff like that. It's going to happen. You definitely want to protect the bottom of your bike, not to keep, maybe you want to keep your frame from getting scratched, but you also keep rocks from coming up from underneath the bike and smashing a hole in the bottom of your engine. Kickstand, not necessary, definitely convenient, right? If you're in the desert, there's not much to lean your bike against. You might have to just dump it in the sand. You're gonna lean your bike against a cactus? I mean, in the woods, you can lean it against a tree, what have you. Kickstand's pretty. It's pretty nice to have. It's a nice convenience. It's not necessary for a woods bike, but it is a nice convenience. Well, what else we got here? Gearing. Maybe you want to go up a tooth or two on the rear sprocket. A lot of these motocross bikes have very tall gears. Going up a tooth or two in the back will really help make that bike more rideable, especially on gnarly stuff. Gearing on all these bikes is a little bit different, but expect to go up 1 or 2 teeth just to make the bike a little easier to ride in the slow stuff. Motocross bikes like to go fast, generally. They don't like to go super duper slow like woods bikes do, so bear that in mind. And every bike's gonna be a little bit different, but just plan on changing gearing potentially. Larger tank. Motocross bikes have smaller tanks. They don't need as much fuel, so there's no reason to have a bunch of gas. Does that make sense? It's a good way to save weight. You don't need 2.5, 2.8, 2.9 like you might in the woods. Woods rides tend to be longer. You know, you don't want to be out halfway into the middle of nowhere worried about running out of gas. You know, it's not fun to be stressed out on your ride. Have a nice big gas tank, if necessary, to get into the woods and get all the way back out of the woods. That's about it. That's all you need. You only need a few things. Some of these aren't even necessary. Can a motocross bike be a good woods bike? Absolutely. But you gotta change a few things. Namely, suspension. Suspension is the #1 thing. You could add a flywheel weight to make it ride a little bit easier in the woods. Tame it down a little bit. Make it a little more tractable. 18-inch rear rim, perhaps, for better tire selection so that you can air down and worry less about pinch flats as well. Bigger tank, maybe. Definitely get that armor. Armor's super important too. So that's like 5 things. If I said 6 there, I'm sorry. But that's like 5 things, I think. You could add a larger tank as well. That'd be 6. Kickstand would be 7. But these are things that maybe aren't necessary. It's not a lot. It's just knowing what you need to do. And as a newer rider, you don't always know what you need to do. That's what you need to do if you want to turn a motocross bike into a good woods bike. So the answer is yes. If you got money, you got to spend money to do this stuff. That part sucks. Thanks for watching, guys. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Definitely subscribe. Follow this YZ250 build as slow as it's going, but it's a lot of content. If you like things being cleaned, man, this is the place to come. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you. Bye.